Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I'm Ian Murray, part of the Global Partners Group, and this is February the 10th, and it's our GPG Spotlight with special guest speaker, Mr. Christian Drapeau. And I'd just like to read a little bit of Christian's bio so you understand his background, and I really want to make sure you take the time right now, make sure you've got pen and paper or recorder. This will be recorded, but there's going to be a lot of great nuggets that will be shared on the call today. So here we go. Christian Drapeau is a stem cell specialist who has attained global recognition for his work in regenerative medicine and wellness. He graduated with honors from McGill University, earning a Bachelor of Science in Neurophysiology and a Master of Science in Neurophysiology. His research includes the unique study of botanicals on the brain, which led to his specialized expertise in plant-based stem cell research. He is known for the discovery, the research, and the development of plant extracts that support the body's natural regenerative potential. He is credited as the founder of the field of stem cell nutrition. In addition to his duties as a genetic scientific advisor, he travels the globe for not only plant discovery and research, but also as a wellness product innovator and an international speaker. A best-selling author, he is fluent in English, French, and Spanish. Well, welcome, Christian. It is such a pleasure to have you on our Spotlight call today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And I had no idea that you were fluent in 3 languages. That's so exciting.
Yeah, well, I'm born French, so English came when I went to study at McGill, actually.
Fabulous. Well, today's call will be in English, and for those of you that I know Christian will be coming to many international markets, you'll be able to test his expertise in those different languages. So, with the first question, because I know I'm so grateful you have allowed to spend the next 30 minutes with us. We've got some questions here, and the first one, Christian, you've been researching RevitaBlu for over 18 years. As we all know, scientific research has advanced dramatically by leaps and bounds during this time. Can you bring us up to date on the research that makes RevitaBlu so unique and exciting?
Okay, I think to put this concept here in context, the idea that RevitaBlu is the result of 18 years of research, just to understand that what started 18 years ago was when I was working with an aquatic botanical called Aphanizomenon aqua, in short AFA, or blue-green algae. We were observing a broad variety of health benefits that people were experiencing and reporting. So we tried to understand what is it that this plant was doing to lead to benefits touching the heart, the lung, the brain, the pancreas, various aspects of human health. And this is where in 2001, we started to tap into all the innovations at the time, or the discoveries about stem cells. It led us in 2001 to write a paper and submit a paper in which we proposed, to my knowledge, the first paper really putting this in the scientific literature. I am sure not the first one to think about it, but the first one to publish that stem cells constitute the repair system of the body. From there, our true interest, or our aim, was to go in the lab and test the idea that if stem cells really constitute the repair system of the body, what if this blue-green algae, its role was to trigger the release of stem cells from the bone marrow? So kind of two very, very, very innovative idea 18 years ago, but it turned out to be true. Stem cells do constitute the repair system of the body, and that's how AFA was working in the body. So from there, I started to investigate other plants. It cannot be that AFA is the only plant having an effect on stem cells. So we looked at other plants, and we did this throughout the years until about 3-4 years ago. I started to have a specific interest into one specific plant that came from Tibet, and sort of the high plateaus in the region. It's also available in the foothills of the Himalayas and some areas of India, but in that region. A berry that originates from there and had been documented for centuries for amazing benefits on the cardiovascular system, on the lung, pancreatic function, on the heart itself, on stimulating tissue repair, all the things that we would expect, or I would expect to have with a plant that supports stem cell release. So then we discovered, or we worked with that berry, which is sea buckthorn. And the reason why it's vital, sort of the aim of all this process, is that for the first time, I would say, in all the research that I have done with various plants, are we working with a plant that has literally centuries of documentation and use in Tibetan medicine, Mongolian medicine, and Chinese medicine. So the results of all the studies that we have done so far on sea buckthorn was just published actually last week. So it finally, the paper came out. I think it's in the Journal of I think it's in Clinical Investigation in Aging, I believe. And that paper summarizes all these benefits that are known from sea buckthorn. So in that way, it makes it really the culmination of all the years of research that have been there in the past with AFA, aloe, and then this novel ingredients with sea buckthorn. So in that way, it is really the apex of all the research that has taken place so far in that field.
Oh, fabulous. I mean, the product, if some people haven't seen it in their market, that's what it looks like. RevitaBlu right there. We're pretty excited. We have it in North America. I know it's in launched in South Africa and coming to many, many markets very shortly. In our conversation in Toronto, we actually captured Christian at our dinner table and basically held him hostage for about 2 hours while we had dinner, and we were just hammering him with questions and because we just love this product. One of the things that Christian expressed to us, he was extremely excited with the marriage of Jeunesse and their products with RevitaBlu, and maybe you can expand on that for everyone on the call, Christian, why you're so excited about this marriage.
Well, when I started really to work with Jeunesse and developing RevitaBlu and do all the work to bring RevitaBlu to the marketplace, like launch it, Dr. Donna Antar, mentioned to me, make sure that you go and study all the. See that we're already starting from very, very strong products. So I went and I studied the products, and I was really amazed at seeing that not only indeed is Jeunesse having great products, but the synergy between all these products and RevitaBlu was amazing to me. Like, I don't think I could have found a company with products that are so complementary to what RevitaBlu does. So we can mention a few of them. And by the way, it could very well be because of that synergy that already, I mean, RevitaBlu has not been on the marketplace for a year, and already as I travel, I'm getting stories like what I've gotten over the years with previous products like AFA, for example, but in a much shorter time period. So people bringing back stories that are, I mean, really impressive. The kind of stories that you cannot share because they will claim themselves, Yes. So we can't share them, but they're real and they're happening. So the kind of synergy that we have, for example, when you release stem cells and they circulate in the bloodstream, they need to be able to leave the bloodstream and migrate into a tissue where they then become cells of that tissue in order to really repair the tissue. So in this whole process of repair, this passage from the blood to the tissue is an essential step. There's one thing in the body that can prevent that step, or let's say hinder that step, and it's oxidative stress, free radicals in the bloodstream, systemic oxidative stress. So you need, in order to reduce that, you need to take strong antioxidant. Well, one of the main antioxidant, as we all know, is resveratrol, and a lot of these extracts from berries. So we have Reserve. So Reserve, as we know, is already an amazing product, but when we start to couple both together, then we get way more than just the sum of the effect of both products. Aside from its antioxidant properties, Reserve will allow the stem cells released by RevitaBlu to have better access to various tissues. And this is also not how could I say, she's also mentioning that resveratrol has been documented in the scientific literature, not making this here into a claim, but there is documentation in the scientific literature of resveratrol supporting proliferation of stem cells in the bone marrow. So with RevitaBlu, we release these stem cells, and then reserve supports their migration into tissue. So you've got a synergy here that is quite amazing. Another strong one is with Reveal, a new product. We have stem cells in the skin of the body everywhere, but in the scalp, we've got a high concentration of hair follicle stem cells, which are the stem cells that sort of dies or go dormant, and then you do not regenerate your hair, so you look like you're losing your hair. Well, you're simply stopping the process the hair. So as you reactivate these stem cells with Reveal, which is sort of luminous for the skin, if you put more stem cells in circulation, then you've got more stem cells to attract to the scalp and then awake and then stimulate. So in that way, again, if you take Reveal, it works great, but now couple it with RevitaBlu, and you get an amazing synergy. And I could go on like this with almost most of the key products of Jeunesse and see the amazing synergy that we have between these two products. Great synergy with Luminous. Same thing. You've taken Luminous, you have not obtained all the results that you wished you could obtain. I would say do it again. Do another good try at Luminous, but this time do it with RevitaBlu, and then see the kind of difference that you see.
We've been referring to it as a foundational product. It's basically a foundation to every product that Jeunesse has, because whatever the product is, it's going to seem to enhance the benefits, because the more stem cells you have circulating around your body, then you're going to have a better feeling. You're going to feel better, and obviously you're going to repair better. And that's just a side question that we've had, is that if you're taking RevitaBlu, are you depleting the amount of stem cells that are stored in your bone marrow? Is there a point where you'll be on empty, or does the body deal with it another way as far as releasing the cells?
Yeah, no, this does not happen. Stem cells, sometimes we can have in reference, like for example, the eggs that women will release. You have a sort of a finite number, and when you run out, you run out. But your stem cells is probably more like your heartbeats. It's not limited. If you take care of it, you will even have it for a longer time. So stem cells in the bone marrow, they do multiply during the entire life of an individual. Nobody runs out of stem cells. It's not something that exists. So your bone marrow is extremely strong at maintaining homeostasis, which is a constant number of stem cells in the bone marrow. So this does not happen.
Well, that's good to know.
I could be more scientific in the answer. But I guess we'll just make it too complex. But it is not. It's not a problem.
Yeah. So basically, it's releasing a mirror cell, and it's the same thing, and just going out and not touching the bank. So that's good.
That's right, and you do it all the time. It's interesting to understand, if we put all of that in context. If you athletes who do very, very, very strong training regularly, many times a week, will release stem cells every time that they do this strong training. So do athletes run out of stem cells faster than others? No, it's not something that is seen. It's not something that exists. So it's not really an issue.
That's good to know. Now we have some Olympians and world-class athletes on this call, and one of the questions they were asking, is there any ingredient in the RevitaBlu that may be concerned with the World Anti-Doping Agency? And the other side of that coin is, what could an elite athlete see as a benefit from RevitaBlu?
Okay, no, there's no problem. There's no ingredients in RevitaBlu that are on the WADA list, and so everything is fine. We haven't. The ingredient that I worked the most with, which was AFA, we even did testing where we had individuals take the product, we take blood samples, and then none of this was seen. So there's no problem in taking the product. In terms of benefits, it's very interesting, because over the years we have seen athletes with products like RevitaBlu, predecessors to RevitaBlu, other products that I worked with in the past. But again, RevitaBlu, in terms of benefits, is probably the most potent of the products that I've worked with so far. So what we see is that we have seen a number of athletes literally establishing their personal best record after starting to take RevitaBlu, even though they were sometimes 5, 10 years older than when they had established their previous records. Some of these are still are world records in the Olympic world. So we have seen a lot of these things, and I do not believe that it comes from a better performance or an immediate effect on the day that they did the competition or established that record. I think it is truly a day-to-day phenomenon where, as we train, an athlete that will train very, very hard will have thousands of micro lesions, in muscles, ligaments. It's a constant reality for athletes. You don't necessarily feel them, although it could show up into some sort of a background of soreness, but they are there. And if you can heal those, repair those faster, and by faster, what I mean is that instead of taking 2-3 days, if it were to heal overnight, for example, sufficiently, so when you go in the day or 2 days later, then you don't carry these old, small, microscopic injuries. Then suddenly the improvement from one training to the other cumulatively gets much stronger and much better. And I think that that's what we see, and I think that that's what athletes overall has reported, is that they seem to just recover faster, and they seem to get better results out of the same training. Very simple. It's not a big jump. It's like a cumulative little plus that you have like this every day, but it means something in terms of overall performance down the road.
Now, what would you suggest as a starting dosage on RevitaBlu for someone who's just coming out of the gate? What should they be doing every day?
Okay. If you ask me the question from a pure scientific standpoint, and I would like to answer it from that angle, because obviously it has a consequence in terms of doing it. I'm not saying we'll have to do it this way, but over the years, I've heard so many times people would start with, let's say, 1 RevitaBlu a day or 1 serving a day of a product. And then at some point down the road, a year or two later, they hear somebody claiming that, oh, when they started to take 3 a day, man, they really got so much better results. Then the person who was taking 1 a day starts to take it 3 times a day, and then they report the greater results. So my point here is that that person has wasted 2 years before that person could get the maximum results. And once you've got the main results, then you can go back to a lower amount. We need to understand that health in the body is a balance. It's a balance between the cells that we lose and the amount of stem cells we have to repair tissues. If we have the same, if we can repair everything that we lose, health is maintained optimally. We're fine. We start to experience we have fewer and fewer stem cells. So when you start to take the product, there's a balance that we need to tilt here for a little while to allow the body to really repair. Once the body has gained on what was lost, then you can kind of go a little bit lower. So all of this being said, I think, to me, the best thing to take the product is you start with 1 a day. You do this for a few days a week just to see if you've got some sort of crisis, detox, whatever. You just see how your body does with the product. Everything is fine. Slowly go to 3 sachets a day and do this for maybe a month or 2. It doesn't have to be for very long. And then see really what the body can do with additional stem cells. And then after a little while, go back to 2 a day. And if you feel your experience is that no, 3 was better, then go back to 3 for another month, let's say. And as long as you feel it takes for your body to really use all these stem cells to the best. And then when you go to 2, and you will feel it's the same. You can go back to 1, you'll feel it's the same. Settle to where you feel your body has reached a balance, and even that may vary as you age, as your activity changes, as you face accidents, whatever. It can change. Keep that balance in mind. You want to, at times, you just want to enhance or increase that balance towards tissue repair. That I think is the best answer that I can give.
Well, I'll tell you, when you mentioned that 2 weeks ago when we had dinner, I've been doing 3 a day, and I've been doing it like at 8 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 8 o'clock at night, and I've had the best sleeps I think I've had in the last 20 years. I mean, deep, well-rested sleep, and I wake up and I'm energized. So I'm hooked on 3 right now, and I'll keep you posted. But because I was doing 1 or 2, and nothing consistent, and what a difference come out of the gate with 3, especially with the sleep.
You know, what you're saying there is very interesting, Ian, because when I heard this whole concept, then my thought was that it's logical. Stem cells repair. They go somewhere, they become cells of that tissue, they repair the tissue. When you talk about sleep, sleep is not the repair of anything. It's more the metabolism of what is there. So it's not really about repair. But I've come across so many stories over the years of people who reported benefits that had nothing to do with repair, that I've come to the conclusion, and it's just a very sort of broad statement, okay? I'm not making any claim here, but when you've got more stem cells, your body will use them to allow the body to be what the body should be in a healthy state, and that can materialize itself in so many ways. I don't know how many times I've heard people say they're taking the product for one specific issue, their knee, their shoulder, whatever it is that their mind would like to see better. And then they see the benefits showing elsewhere at first. So just understand that your body will use these stem cells in ways that sometimes is not what your mind would like to do, but your body knows what it has to do and will use them. And I would say just give it time and give it some trust and gratitude.
Or, yeah, I mean, our body's pretty complex, and I think it knows the game it's in more than we do. So
I think so.
Yeah, that would be good. We usually are talking about adults with our Genest products. Is RevitaBlu a product that a child can take?
Yes, but keep in mind that in the world of regulations for dietary supplements, if we don't do studies specifically with children, then we cannot recommend the product for children. So in that context, no studies was done specifically with this product with children. So it is not something that can be officially, if you want, recommended. Now, if I get out of the claim aspect and I just answer into the greater context of the 18 years of researching and working with these products, I started with the thought that kids already have enough stem cells. So, and we know kids repair very well, and the reason they repair well is because they have a lot of stem cells. If you go on the other extreme with people that are fairly advanced in age, let's say 90 and plus, they have reached a place where they don't release a whole lot of stem cells. A lot of the bone marrow is transformed from red marrow to yellow marrow. So you don't have a big potential here. So I thought, we're not going to see great results in children or people very advanced in age. So we will see results in people, let's say 20 to 65, 70. That will be the target where we should expect results. All I can say is that I'm completely wrong assumption. I've heard stories from both ends of the spectrum in many of them. So while I cannot say we recommend the product, I can definitely say there's no issue, and if you feel like doing it, I don't see a contraindication with it.
That's good to know. That's good to know. Another question. Can we take too much? Is there a limit that we can take, or the body just decides?
I think well, first you understand from a physiological standpoint, you do not build up the number of stem cells in the bloodstream. Whatever the lifetime of a stem cell in the bloodstream is going to be anywhere between 6 minutes to 6 hours, with an average of about 1 hour, meaning they circulate in the whole blood circulation a number of times, and then they will be caught and attracted by tissues in need of repair. But if they're not caught by a tissue, there's a point where they will be recaptured by the bone marrow, and then will basically be available for a future release.
Oh, okay.
So you don't build up stem cells in the bloodstream. So you cannot take too much in that way. You cannot exhaust the bone marrow. So when you think of it that way, no, you cannot take too much. The question is simply, is there a point where you release them and your body has just optimally used them, so you're doing this for nothing? And there's probably for each individual a point where you could say you're not getting more results by getting more.
Right.
And I would say, statistically speaking, across a population of people taking the product, I would say somewhere between 3 and 6 packs a day is where you maybe start to just do it for nothing. But there's somewhere in there, people in that range between 1 to 6, people will see a varying degree of additional benefits. I think 3 will cover most of the people, but you cannot take too much.
Well, let me ask the elephant in the room question, because we get asked about this. Everyone, we know someone with some type of health challenge, and I know we can't make any medical claim, but is there any concern with someone taking, someone with a health issue taking RevitaBlu? I know we can't name all the health issues, but is there any harm?
Let me just mention one, and it's very important. I'm caught between two here, and I'll tell you the whole story so people make their own conclusion out of it. From the very early the early days when we started to work with product supporting the release of stem cells from the bone marrow, the word was, do not stimulate the bone marrow if you have a problem with your bone marrow. So anything related to leukemia or any pathology linked to stem cells from the bone marrow or the bone marrow, generally speaking, then let's not take a product that supports the bone marrow. And we maintain this over the years, and still I maintain it. Maintain it officially, but I must say that I've had, on 2 occasions, I had doctors coming to a meeting that where I was giving a lecture, and then and they came to me, different meetings, and they came to me very nicely, but they told me, they said, you may want to reconsider your just give me 1 second. Hey, love, I'm on a webinar. Sorry. So they came to see me and they said, you know, we understand your position, but I just want to share with you that one of my patients had leukemia. They took your product, and I saw the benefits. So I think, the doctor telling this to me, I think it is unethical for you to tell people with this condition to not take the product. So here I am, faced between these 2 extremes. One extreme is like really conservative and do things that is the right thing to say, well, don't take a product that there could be a problem. And by doing this, then I've got somebody else telling me, well, it may be unethical because it actually helped one of my patients. So all of this being said, I would normally say, don't take it if you have a problem of the bone marrow, but it really, what I think it really means is talk with your doctor before, and do that in concert and under the supervision of your doctor, and see what he has to do. And if he's okay with it, I don't think there's an issue. And that would be the only condition that over the years really I have faced. And other than that, there's no issue.
Good. So, I mean, if someone comes across that, because we get asked that question all the time, we say, if it's not that, we'll just say, you know, try it and see what happens. I mean, that's basically, we can't predict anything. Now,
and there's no interaction either with a condition like cancer. This is one that comes oftentimes. You know, the core of cancer is a lump of cells called cancer stem cells. So because they're called cancer stem cells, and we release stem cells, well, maybe the product stimulates the cancer stem cells. And all of this is a big mix-up because of the fact that we call 2 things the same name, stem cells, but they're completely different. What a cancer stem cell is a cancer cell that behaves like a stem cell, so they call them cancer stem cells. But the way that these cells work resembles some aspect of stem cells, but they don't work like a stem cell. A stem cell is not caught into a phase of proliferation and stays there. So what we have seen over the years, actually, and we even have a study that we did published in 2010, I remember, where we gave a lot of AFA extract to animals that had humus breast cancer cells. And this is published. We saw a 30% reduction in tumor growth.
Wow. We
expect that exactly we don't see cancer promotion. We have not seen this in 18 years. Quite the contrary, if anything. So there's no interaction here, and no concern with cancer either.
Well, fabulous. And listen, one last question. In your book, Cracking the Stem Cell Code. And I recommend everyone read this book, and it's in multiple languages, but I'll tell you, it is an incredible resource book, and it's actually very easy to understand. Thank you, Christian. You've made it very simple with a very complex subject. You talk about the far-reaching potential of adult stem cells in human health and wellness, and you look at what's new, what's real, and what's next in stem cell science. In a nutshell, for our audience, what do you feel is next in stem cell nutrition? What's on the horizon? What's on the cutting edge?
Well, what I started to work on a number of years ago, and really work in progress. I cannot tell you, where they are in the next 6 months. It's work in progress. But there's three areas. One is work in progress, and it's moving forward. It is simply the continued investigation of other products, other plants that have been used oftentimes locally with amazing stories that suggest that it looks like these plants are working by supporting stem cells. So to continue to investigate some of these plants to continue to develop better and better products. So we could have one day maybe an updated version, enhanced version of RevitaBlu. We'll see. So that's one area of research. The other two areas of research that are fascinating to me, not that it's close to a conclusion, is number one, could we have either a product or a strategy or a device or something that could target the migration of stem cells that release stem cells with RevitaBlu, but is there a way to help them go to the heart? Is there a way to help them go to the brain? Is there a way to help them go to the lung or go where I would like to have them? So that is one area of research. There's some developments that took place, but nothing here that can tell me that we're soon going to have a strategy or a device or some way to do that. The next one, which I find fascinating, but again, we're talking here about something that may take 5-10 years in development, but nonetheless that can have a huge impact, is to really spread this understanding across mainstream science that just like there's a normal number of red blood cells. When you go to see the doctor and he does a blood test, he'll tell you have your red blood cell count is in the normal, it's below, it's above, but there's a range that is considered a healthy range. We don't have that for stem cells. And what we are realizing in science right now is that there is a level of stem cells under which people start to be at risk for developing problems. If you count the number of stem cells in people who have developed, making no claims here, I'm just quoting the scientific literature, people who have developed cardiovascular problem, heart attack, emphysema, lung problems, kidney failure, liver failure, erectile dysfunction, atherosclerosis, metabolic syndrome, and the list continues like this. They all have about a little bit less than half the number of stem cells that we find in healthy people. There's a direct link. You got fewer stem cells, your body can't repair as well, and it leads to, at some point, losing health in whatever is the weakness for you. So are we able, with what is available in the scientific literature, or maybe further clinical investigation, can we pinpoint what is, clinically speaking, the number of stem cells at which we start to be at risk? And if we can determine this as a risk, we need to understand that, hey, we live in a world, medical world, that is based, widely speaking, on risk factors. You have high cholesterol, that's a risk factor. We even treat the risk factors. We're so far into this use of risk factor. Once we can determine this, then suddenly this concept of stem cells will penetrate the entire medical world. And I think it can change the way that we look at medicine. For the first time in our history, to go beyond preventive, we can go toward true health maintenance. So we can give a way of actually achieving and maintaining optimal health instead of just preventing the problem, which to me is going to change the whole concept of how we practice medicine. So to me, that's what's next in terms of developing stem cell science.
Well, and it shows you how powerful this product is, because if we can be in control and heal ourselves naturally and be proactive by having more stem cells in circulation and reducing the inflammation, which we know is a cause of many challenges, then we're going to be ahead of the game. you know, we're not going to have to wait until something happens and all of a sudden react. We can be responding right now and building up a good immunity system. And this is why, you know, I'm so excited about this product. I feel great on 3. I was actually going to try 4. We're going to see what happens. But it's a phenomenal product. And, you know, Christian, I want to acknowledge you. I want to thank you so much for taking the time, because I know how busy you are and how you get pulled from all directions. I know you've got a heavy traveling schedule, and you're going to be going to Europe soon. And I don't know what other places, but I know there's many in store over the 2019. And I just want to thank you so much on behalf of the Global Partners Group for spending the time with us today, and for being so informative with your answers. It is really, really appreciated.
My
Well, this is recorded, everyone, and we will be posting it on GPG Live. And again, thank you so much, Christian, and you have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and safe travels in this month. And everybody in GPG, thanks for joining us, and we'll keep you posted for the call next week. Bye for now. Thanks so much.
Thank you.